Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode. I'm your host, Chris Robert, and joining me today will be my wonderful co host, Amy Sawyer, all the way from Norway. Hey, Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hello.
Amy has been eagerly anticipating this interview and is excited to meet our special guest. Hey, Amy, thanks for
Yeah,
being the co host for today. How have you been?
I've been doing well, Chris. I've been an avid um, listener of Janny Rollinson, so I hear a lot of Natasha's music a lot.
Yeah. In Norway these days, it's pretty cold. No, there's lots of snow there now.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, thank you, Natasha, for being our guest. I really appreciate it. It's really nice to meet you.
It's really lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for having me today, Chris. And I'm really looking forward to chatting with you, Amy.
So, we're thrilled to have with us incredibly talented soprano and classical crossover singer recording artist Natasha Hardy, known as the Queen of the Forest. Natasha captivates audience with her haunting, angelic, and ethereal voice, and she elegantly fuses cinematic, new age, classical, and Celtic influences into her self penned, heart achingly, beautiful love songs. Now, her debut album, Lost in Love, has resonated deeply with listeners, including myself and Amy, and her music continues to transcend conventional boundaries, uncovering the truth of her authentic artistry. Hello, Natasha. Welcome to our show. So happy you are here.
Thank you so much, Chris. And thank you on Stage Music Podcast for having me. And I'm really looking forward to today's interview with yourself and Amy.
You're welcome. And I know that Amy will do such a good job as a co host since it's her first time on the platform. I really appreciate that. Natasha, can you tell us a bit about your musical background and how you got started in classical crossover music?
Yes, of course. Well, funnily enough, I actually didn't want to be a singer. So it always feels quite strange when people ask me this question. I actually wanted to be an actress.
Oh,
And so I started to try and pursue my acting career, and I really enjoyed it. I love acting. And when you're a jobbing actress, you see lots of little adverts for, different jobs and stuff. And then I used to see a lot of adverts for actresses that can sing. And I could hold a tune, but I had never had any musical training. And, my background was just listening to music, not really performing music or playing music. I used to play a little bit of piano for fun. And because of these adverts, I decided to actually start singing lessons, like proper singing lessons. And I then fell in love with classical singing. I loved the technique. I just loved how it was just all encompassing. It felt like home to me. It felt even more exciting than acting. And basically, I guess singing kind of found me, and then that just became my goal, to be able to sing and perform and write.
I've been following you for a little while, and I noticed you talk about your two dogs. Do you find that they end up chiming in sometimes when you practice at home?
Actually, no, they don't. They're very, very good. They're very well trained, and the only time that Petal, the youngest one, howls is if Pearl has taken her toys. So they have this very cool little game where I throw. It's actually like this rabbit. So I throw this rabbit. Pearl goes and gets the rabbit, brings it back, then Petal sits next to Pearl, and then literally howls until she gives it to her, and then it's the same, and then we do that same thing all over again. But no, they don't tend to join in. But what they do is they actually fall asleep. So as soon as
wow.
I know they're so good. As soon as I start practicing my scales, they're like, oh, okay, we're gonna be here for about an hour, and they literally they lay down, they're just like dunk, and then after the scales are finished, they just know, and then they're like, okay, it's tutu time, and so they actually are very part of kind of my routine. But yeah, I'm very lucky that they don't join in with the scales. I know some people's dogs do that. So yeah, but it's a really good question, Amy.
Are the two poodles, are they from the same family, like siblings?
No, they're not. They're adopted sisters. So we have Pearl, who's 9, and she's just eating. I didn't bring them on the interview. They're just eating some breakfast at the moment. But Pearl, who's 9, who I adopted about 3 years ago now, 3.5 years ago now, and I also have Petal, who is 2, and I adopted her about a year ago, nearly a year ago. So I adopted her last February. So one is a rescue, and one was a purebred pedigree poodle who needed a new home. So yeah, I've got the 2 of them, and they're great company. They're very good.
I'm glad you didn't bring them on screen because I got a black cat and I don't want them to be barking, just attacking my cat all the way from UK.
Yeah, exactly. What kind of cat you got, Chris?
I have a British short hair, believe it or not.
Oh,
A black
beautiful.
British short hair, yeah. She's the Halloween cat. Her name is Hannah. She'll be 11 in July. So,
Wow, beautiful. Oh, that's
yeah.
beautiful.
And she's
I'd
a
love to
known.
have a cat.
Oh, yeah?
Sorry.
Yeah. Black cats are kind of mischievous.
Of course.
Yeah.
Their reputation always precedes them, I think.
Yeah. So I love your album Lost in Love. Can you share the story behind that one?
Yeah, so Lost in Love is my debut album, and I wrote that. Well, it was released about 5 years ago, and it's obviously my first album that I completely wrote all myself, and a really wonderful producer, Tom E. Morrison, produced that for me. And basically, the idea. Well, I'll tell you a little bit previous to that. I used to work as a singer. I used to have my own companies. I used to do a lot of gigs, weddings, funerals, parties. I even had a business where I did 50s music. So I used to dress up as kind of Doris Day and sing Frank Sinatra 50s songs.
Wow.
And I did that for a few years, and I really enjoyed it. It was very, very lovely and fulfilling. But after a while, I realized that I wanted to sing my own songs. I wanted to sing in my own style. And after singing a lot of operatic arias, especially at weddings and concerts and things like that, you're very restricted to how the composer wanted you to perform it. And so I thought, what I can do is I can mix my kind of pop technique style with my classical training, and that's how the whole classical crossover sound came to life. And also because I'm very heavily influenced by amazing artists like Enya with her, beautiful ethereal sound. And then I love the whole Celtic feel of music, of the sounds that you get in Celtic music. But I also love all of the classical style. And so I wanted to make sure that the album had this kind of melting pot of these beautiful styles. And the songs came about because I felt like I had lots of stories, and I still have more stories to tell. But I wanted all of the stories of my heartaches and my heartbreaks and my experiences to be put into songs which felt like, the listener can literally dive in with the song and kind of get lost with me as I take them on a journey. And I'm very, very proud of Lost in Love. If you listen to the album, if you listen to it from the beginning to the end, you'll see there's like a flow of how I put all of the songs together. And it's done with intent because, you know, from the first song of In Too Deep, where I'm talking about, you know, falling in love and not even realizing that I've fallen in love, through to, you know, There's a Tempest in My Heart, which is, you know, literally a song which is, you know, that feeling of being in love and you're just crazy, you don't even know what's happening. To Il Segreto, where that's Italian for the secret, and then to Strong, where she's feeling very empowered after understanding what it is to have self-love. I feel like, you know, the listener can really like come with me on a journey. And that's where the title of the album came from, which is Lost in Love. So I'm really, really pleased with how it turned out, and I'm still getting a lot of great feedback from, you know, people that are still discovering my music as an independent artist. You know, that's always such an honor to find.
Do you believe that your first album? Do you believe that your album was 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration?
I think, you know, you might not be far off, but I feel like it was, although I call it I called the album Lost in Love, it could have also been titled Labor of Love, because it was not easy, I think, to produce, you know, get that album produced. But I also feel like that is due to me being an independent artist and actually learning to, you know, develop myself as an artist and learning how to work with musicians, work with producers, work with the art, how to make the artwork. You know, it's an all-encompassing scenario, making an album, and getting to share it at the end is very kind of surreal, because it kind of goes into this, you know, I love CDs. I'm still a bit of an old school girl, but, you know, it comes in this like one little square and then it's kind of, and that's it. And I also feel like with music, you know, there's nothing kind of tangible about it. It is, you know, you do wish you had something that you could actually physically feel and hold on to. But I think the experience is tangible in itself. I think when you listen to music, it really has a profound emotional effect on you, doesn't it? And I hope that's what I just hope for people that listen to my album, is if they have ever had their heart broken, or if they are in love, or if they need to feel strong, then, you know, you can pick one of those songs from the album, listen to it, and, you know, release emotion and or feel empowered, whichever it is that you need to feel that day.
Yeah, and most songs are written through the artist's experience. And one in case would be there's a group called Imagine Dragons, and lead singer Dan Reynolds, his brother's wife, his sister-in-law Alicia, had cancer. She died. He wrote the song "Wrecked," how he's feeling inside about her death and how emotional it is. We sort of we're like just so emotionally involved in other people's songs, but when it comes to our own,
I know you just came out with the recent single Hallelujah, and I had thought about the album cover because you said you mentioned in your interview with Natasha Barbieri that your niece helped you with that. I'm like, oh my gosh, that post was incredible.
Yes, I mean, she's an amazing young lady. She did her A-levels in photography, and I said, you know, come on, let's do a shoot together. Let's see what happens. And we were out in the forest, you know, being the queen of the forest is where I always end up going to, because I just love being with nature. And we found this amazing tree. And so I said, right, I'm going to climb up this tree and let's try out some poses. And at first it felt really difficult. And then she said, well, why don't you try this and try that? And so then, you know, and then I mean, I have got thick trainers on underneath that dress. So luckily it could held me in the pose. But we were doing lots of different arty, trying to find like something quite artistic, but feeling with, you know, with that movement, because Hallelujah is it's such a, it's such a huge song. And I felt like it really needed something very big and moving to kind of go with the song. I didn't want to just kind of be sitting there looking out in the distance as though I'm thinking. I wanted it to actually be like a physical thing. And so we were doing all these different hand poses, and because I love the kind of fantasy, streak of everything that kind of goes through all of my art visually, I was doing all these these beautiful hand poses and everything. And then there was just this, she said, like, just lean back and put your hand like this. Literally, she was directing me.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, the sun came out. It was a very cloudy day, except for that one photo. It happened to come out, and it just looked really, ended up being the one that we picked, because it was the only one that had my hand up like this with the sun rays kind of coming through. And I just thought it felt very apt, with Hallelujah and the sun, and just feeling like it's, a praise. It just felt perfect. And that's also one thing I feel which is really important, is trying to get the art to, go with the song, so trying to make them mix but also have meaning behind them, because it's lovely to look pretty and everything, but I feel like, I can have a conversation like this where, the deeper meaning of the artwork is interesting, because, I'm wearing red. It was a red dress on purpose because, the song, it feels like it, there's a fire within, and I felt like red felt like it was very, very significant. So things that go with fire, like anger, sexuality, sensuality, the power of being alive, having energy. Red feels like it's a very significant color, along with doing it in the, actually it was very late in the autumn that we took the photograph. And so I did that on purpose, because autumn to me signifies the changing of a season, where you are actually letting go of things, leaves fall to the ground, you are open, you are, you have to let things go, things that you thought you needed but you don't need to hold on to any longer. And so I felt like with the sun, the actual the change of the season, with the falling of the leaves, the signifying the letting go of things that you don't need anymore, and the red, which is the fire within, I felt like that brought the whole piece to life, especially with the, the very energetic kind of movement. But yeah, it's actually really lovely to be able to speak about that artwork. You can see I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah, Amy and I thought that pose was incredible. It's amazing how you were, amazing.
Thank you so much. I mean, my body literally ate the next day something crazy, because, trying to do that and hold kind of everything in, as we do as girls. But yeah, it came out really well. I'm very, very happy about it, and I'm very thankful to my niece for taking the photograph.
I've taken singing lessons as well, and I often find that some songs that I've been practicing, like, I feel pretty when I first started the practice, I'm just like I couldn't stop laughing, because that I feel pretty, as you know, it's like a joyful in nature. Do you find then when you practice that, some songs that do that to you as well?
As in, like, you feel joyful, or you feel it's difficult?
Sometimes difficult to practice at first.
At first, yeah. Well, I think learning new repertoire, learning new songs and arias, is a very interesting experience and process, because when you have in your mind how at the very beginning
Yeah,
you've heard the song, you want to sing that song, and then you now have to do the process of breaking it down and learn. You have to learn the lyrics, you
yes,
have to learn the
exactly.
melody, all of the timing, everything. And so at first, you're thinking, why did I choose this song? Why? What made me think that I could
Yes.
sing this song? Why on earth would I want to sing this song? And um, but then, the joyfulness comes from being able to then master it. So I
Yes.
think it's like anything, with perseverance and with dedication and commitment, then you get to that joyful place. I feel like as a musician, as an artist, I feel like I'm never ever really satisfied with any of my performances. But there are some days where I'm more joyful than others with
Mhm.
performances that I've done. I could say, okay, well, that wasn't too bad. I could have been better. But I think that's just the musician perfectionist mentality that we have.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it's a duality, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
the challenge at the beginning and then the joy at the end. But as I have developed as a musician and as an artist, I've actually learned to fall in love with the process. So one of the things that I do is I have a piece that I'm learning, and I try to imagine how I felt when I first started singing. And I remember I was very, very joyous when I first started singing, because I think I didn't even realize how I could sing. And trying just to break it down, and feeling, wow, it's so exciting to be able to sing. And then I usually end a session with a song that I can sing. So I always kind of think at the end, when I'm whilst I'm learning a piece, I will then switch to a different piece, which is a song that I usually know very well and I sing, pretty well. And I feel that always kind of ends any practice session with a really positive state of mind. And then when you come to another practice session, it tends to be easier again. But yeah, I agree. It is both difficult and joyous. But I use the word difficult very gently, because you could see I tried to change the words to things like process and just breaking it down. It's like anything in life. If you take it in small steps, you break anything down, they're achievable.
Mhm.
What songs are you enjoying learning at the moment, Amy?
I have done let's see. How Does a Moment Last Forever from the live action Beauty and the Beast. Oh my
Oh,
gosh, it was so good.
oh, beautiful. That's a great song. Good choice.
Yeah, I remember my very first time I was singing in a church. There was a song by Steve Green. He's a Christian classic artist, and it was called "I Can See." I can see what is, and I was practicing that for 2 weeks. This is some years ago, and I knew the first lyrics, I knew the second lyrics, I knew the chorus inside and out. By the time I got up there to sing, I forgot the second lyric. I forgot the second verse. So I switched second verse with the first verse, and I sang the first verse again. And people say, "Oh, that's great! You did a good job." Instead of me saying, "Thank you so much, I appreciate it," I went, "Yeah, but I forgot the first. I couldn't think of the second lyric, and I screwed up here." And you're standing there, and you just become this whole different person. You know?
Yes, Absolutely. And I have done that as well, Chris, many times, mucked up all of the lyrics and what way they come in, and forgotten, forgotten lyrics that I know off by heart, but just in that moment, the brain just didn't kick into gear.
Exactly.
And you're right, you do become someone else when you're singing. You become like a vessel almost for the beauty of what your instrument can produce. And but I think that's why so many of our teachers and our mentors are literally practice, 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 practice. And so when you go on stage, it's so ingrained in your brain that you have no choice but for it to be recalled. But it happens to the best of us.
Yeah. Natasha, is your song creation, is it melody or lyrics? Like, what do you like to work on first? The lyrics and then put the melody to it, or vice versa? Or do you get inspiration from going outside and saying, nice blue sky, trees? Oh, I see a cat. Oh, I see a squirrel getting a nut. Okay, I got a song. Is that you?
Well, I think for me, it's probably a mixture of both. Sometimes I can just be humming, and it's a really lovely melody, but I don't know the words, and so I kind of make up like, and
Yeah.
I'm literally just making up, banana, banana, whatever. And I often use words from a song that I know to be able to work the melody. So even if the words are incorrect, then I can kind of feel like how the melody is going. But often for me, I feel like lyrics do tend to come up at the same time as melody. So when I'm singing, like I was doing it in the car the other day, and I was singing, I was just started thinking, oh, this is nice. And then, all of a sudden I'm actually using words, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm driving, where's my dictaphone? Having to try and stop and trying to get a record button to be able to record that melody, which is the most annoying thing, because I often think of melodies and lyrics while I'm driving, and I don't recall them because I'm the subconscious mind has kicked in and taken over. But yeah, I think it's a combination of both. Sometimes the lyric can come first, sometimes the melody, but generally I think the melody and the lyric come together, and then after I have that melody down, I will then refine the lyric and make sure that it makes sense and what I'm trying to say poetically in a way, as well as making it fit in. So yeah, it's a combination.
How do you approach blending classical and contemporary elements in your music? How do you do that?
I basically go with how the song wants it. It feels like generally further along the song, it will end up feeling a little bit more classical, just because the way that the voice opens, and I want it to sound a little bit more classical, because then I can use my full head voice. At the beginning of a song, say for Into Deep, I am blinded by your beauty, but I can see the light. I really like the way I use more of a softer pop sound, a much more contemporary sound. And because I am blending the two kind of styles, I do spend a lot of my time practicing both styles, and to make sure that I have a really nice blend over, really nice smooth passaggio, which is, the hardest thing for any singer, the break, as some would call it. And just to make sure that that's really nice and smooth and blended. Some days it's easier than others. But also I feel like with the classical and the contemporary styles, I do feel like it's easier to blend as I've become more confident in my own voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is part of being an artist, is just trying out things, you know, without feeling like you can't do it. You know, you can keep pushing how your voice sounds. And that is kind of why I probably shied more away just from singing classical, because I can really you know, find new places in my instrument, find new ways of using my voice, which I haven't used before, and I'm still experimenting. I'm still finding it fun to be able to bring all of the techniques together.
Want to hit the ground, want to stay above the waterline. I am drowning out the sound. I only want to be here now.
Do you have any like favorite songs that you like to listen to?
Favorite songs? Yeah, I do. I really like Haven. There's a band called Haven.
Oh, yeah.
They have a really, really amazing album. That's one of my go-to albums. I also love I love listening to a bit of Prince. I think he's an amazing artist.
So
And
good.
yeah, he's so good. And he was such an amazing musician. And the things that he did with his voice were just so, you know, just they're like miraculous. And I think one of the reasons that I really enjoy listening to him is because it's so different to the style that I'm doing. And sometimes I feel like being able to not listen to classical or classical crossover music then gives me a chance to kind of just enjoy music, you know, for what it is. I love dance music. Any songs in particular? Pop wise at the moment, I love Dua Lipa. I think she's an amazing artist. And
I like Levitating. That's a great song.
oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, actually, yes, I really like that. It's really cool how she's managed to blend a lot of the sounds in that song.
Do you like
And
Dido or any of those
kind
other
of,
ones?
well, I feel like I like Dido, but then I start analyzing how she's singing.
No.
Because, you know, she uses that very soft, gentle Enya-esque technique. And so that's where I'm like, I stop actually listening to it as for fun, and then start listening to it as a musician. But a lot of music that I listen to is kind of meditation music. I love finding very, very calming kind of Tibetan sounds, which actually just calm me inside and allow my subconscious to kind of just go where it wants to go, kind of thing. But I will listen to all music, really, to be honest with you. It's just some music pulls me into work mode, and some music just pulls me into, you know, workout mode, kind of thing.
I know you've done a lot of solo work, but do you think you'll work with any artists in the future?
Yeah, I'm always up for collaborations. I have thought of doing a collection of duets in the future. So yeah, who knows? I think when the universe wants it to happen, it will just happen very naturally. I'm currently working on writing my follow-up album at the moment. So you never know what's going to happen. But yeah, I'm definitely open to working with other artists in the future. I think females working together is a really lovely thing to be able to do. The blend of our, you know, sounds, it can create something so beautiful. But I also like the thought of working with a male artist, where the voice don't where they are very, you know, soloists in their own right. so yeah, so we'll see what happens.
So,
Yeah.
how about all those artists from the Classic Crossover magazine's concerts that Natasha puts on? Do you think there's anybody there that you sing with that might work out?
Um, I think all of them, to be honest with you. I think literally there isn't an artist that I wouldn't work with. I follow Natasha, a lot. I even work with Classical Crossover magazine myself, and I'm always seeing such beautiful, beautiful singers. I think my voice would probably blend with any of them because we are in this genre. Um, yeah, so so if they're hearing this, if you want to let me know if you want to do a duet. You never know what's going to happen from this conversation now, do you, Chris?
Yeah. When you do sing, like, I mean, I know you're soprano, but when you do a cover song, do you put like a kind of like an opera kind of soprano tinge to it? Or do you just sing it like, let's say you had to sing Levitating by Dua Lipa. Would you sing that as a soprano or would you sing that as a pop artist?
Well, I think soprano is like is a musical term because soprano is just like the far of your
Hmm.
voice, so it just means that you're a high singer,
Yeah,
and
Britney
so
Spears is a soprano. Christina Aguilera is a
exactly.
mezzo soprano.
Exactly. Yeah. I think, yeah. So I'm a soprano, so it just means that I'm a higher singer. But I think more technique wise, it just depends on what style. So if I was to sing something like Dua Lipa, I think it would just still be in my voice, and it does feel like a contemporary voice, but with some classical training behind it. And you can hear when I, like, even in Hallelujah, I'm singing more in a poppy classical style. And it just basically means that I'm mixing my voice, my chest and my head voice together. And sometimes going into my full head voice will make it sound a lot more classical. But yeah, I think that's why I find it so interesting as a singer, that we can do these weird and wonderful things with just our whole body, and it's down to these two little guys coming together.
Yeah, do you have
They're
a
my
like
vocal talking about my vocal cords.
yeah, that's what I was gonna ask about the vocal cords. Do you have like a system, like do you take some sort of lemon in water to get your voice stretched out so it works out? Like you just can't say, okay, I gotta sing, go out there and do it. You gotta prepare your voice.
Oh yeah. I'm literally every day I'm preparing my voice. So if there is any moment that I need to perform, I'm usually 70% ready already. And there are certain things that I have a whole routine that I do. I could probably talk. I won't talk too much about it because I'll be here all day. But like a ballpark kind of general way that I would describe my routine is I drink a ton of water. I drink herbal tea first thing in the morning, and then I do a workout. I would actually do a physical workout, so I get any kind of little aches or strains out of my body. I'll do some yoga. I love jumping. One of the things that I do more recently, actually the last year, is I think they call it in the States rebounding. So literally actually physically jumping up and down to music. So it is fun. That sounds very boring how I just said it. And once I've done all of that preparation, then I will start very gently humming. So humming is my precursor to ever singing. I will never just sing. I always hum, and through the humming, that's just getting all the blood supply to my vocal cords. So just making sure that they're all nice and soft and supple, and they've got lots of blood supply to there. And then, like I said before, the poodles will have a nice relaxing time while I do my scales, just like anyone will do with an instrument. I'm next to a piano here, so I'm actually touching the piano, but the lid is down. And then once I've done that, that's when I can then start working on music, on songs, writing songs, on singing songs, on putting a performance together.
Since John Mayer has a song called New Light, and he starts off as it's sort of like incorporated into the song. So stuff like that can work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why, doing your scales is so important, because,
Mhm.
you can literally take any part of a scale and use it in your music. And that's why it's also important to learn lots of different scales. Not just your normal, scales, but also all of your chromatics and blues. And so these all kind of help you as, being really supple as a singer, and feeling when you when the inspiration strikes, you find these notes more easily, and that's through practice.
Yeah, I like those classic crossover magazine concerts that Natasha puts on.
So as I said earlier, I listed Jenny Rollinson's radio show a lot, and just recently, because I was on a vacation and I didn't quite get as interactive on social media, saying I was tuning in or whatever, she messaged and checked on me. I was like, what?
Oh.
So do you find like that community is like important as a singer?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's really important to, improve and foster your relationship with your fans. I mean, without your fans, no one's listening. So I think, being able to have, these interactions and relationship with your fans is so important nowadays, because, fans, I think is kind of a very generic term nowadays. I feel like it's more like a musical family for me.
Yeah.
And you're my musical friends. That's how I kind of feel, how I do I haven't done it for a couple of months, but I will be starting again this month, doing my it's called Pink Mondays. So every Monday I do an evening show.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's where a lot of my musical friends, my fans, come together. And what's so fun for me as an artist and as a singer is seeing how actually some of these people are now fostering relationships with each other. And they're saying, hi, how are you? And and so there's a whole community going on its own. And I feel like being part of being able to put that together, that really helps, people that are like-minded, that like this genre of music, that like the things that I like. It makes me feel very proud and very, very happy that I'm building this community. And hopefully over the next year it will build even more, and more people from the classical crossover community can join. But yeah, I think it's really, really important. It's really lovely to hear that, Amy.
Yeah, I have a few people that check up on me. It's sort of like, hey, how's it going? Are you okay? Some it's just like 2 weeks go by and they don't give a beep about you, you know? You say, so how's it going? Did you have a good week? And sorry I didn't message you in the last 2 weeks, obviously. But I feel that if people are going to check up on you, so are you okay? Then you think, okay, so they checked up on me, and then you check up on them because you realize that they did it with you. But sometimes it's like, are you okay? I'm fine. But they never ask you, are you okay? And it's always one-sided. And I have a duet partner, and I always sing with her, and she always once in a while, are you okay? Everything all right? And I like that. If you're
Yeah.
gonna sing with someone who doesn't give a, I don't say rat's ass. I don't know if you people in the UK know what that means. You know how it
No,
is.
no, that's not the case. I think, Chris, you're a very beautiful, wonderful person. And, even having this on-stage music podcast, I think it's such an amazing opportunity to meet your right family. And we're not always born into the family that we want, but we definitely can make the family that we want. And I
Yes,
feel like
exactly.
I think that's why music is such an amazing gift, is because it really does bring people together. It brings, you know, like-minded hearts together, and it's so important. And I always feel like if I am thinking of someone and they haven't thought of me, I have learned over the years to not worry that they didn't think of me. The fact that I thought of them makes me feel good, because they are important in my life, and I don't need anymore them to have asked me, "Oh, are you okay?" The fact that I thought of them, it's like it's enough now, because I also have my musical family. You know, they're the ones that where I have this interaction. And there are some people that in my life that it does feel a little bit one way. I'm just like anyone, you know, in the world. We all have that. But I feel like that is just part of life. It's part of human nature. There is sometimes that one-way traffic, but it doesn't mean that I want to focus there. I actually also want to focus more of my time and energy and effort on the two-way street, you know. And it kind of feels like any journey, you know, there are dead ends and there are one-way streets, but there is lots of two-way traffic. And I feel like, you know, journeying is such an important word, and you can see that I probably use it a lot in my, you know, in the copy that I write and everything, because I do feel like life is a journey, and some people that we're going to meet along the way on our journey, they're going to stay with us for the rest of the journey. And some people that we meet on our journey, they're just there for that particular thing, and then we move on. And so, yeah, I feel like music is so encompassing and so powerful that it can keep us all together on our particular journeys, even when, you know, our journey together is ending and we all go off on our own journeys. At least we have the pathways to come back and connect again through all of this beautiful music.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, Natasha. So, if you were on a desert island, would you rather be stranded with your musical family or your natural family?
Oh my goodness! I think that is a hard question to answer. But I think I would have to have both. I'd have to have both. I think it would also depend on what day. You know, some days you want to be with your family, and some days you don't.
Yeah.
I quite actually like my own company. I wouldn't mind being on the desert island with my 2 poodles too. So.
Yeah. So, what challenges have you faced in your music career, and how have you overcome them?
I think in my music career, I think, let's have a little think. Challenges. I think starting out as an independent artist was a lot harder than I thought it would be. And it's taken me a while to understand how the music business works for independent artists. And I think nowadays the great thing is we can release that old mentality of, oh, I need to get signed by a record label, because we actually understand that actually record labels, they, you know, you're signing a big chunk of your artistry away to be able to get a lump sum of money to be able to make art that then they can take and make money from. So I feel like as an independent artist, the opportunities now are much better than they ever have been. You know, we can, you know, we have a connection directly to fans. Like Amy said, you know, fostering community is paramount now for independent artists, and being able to connect directly with fans. You know, it was unheard of before social media. So the advent of social media is so it's a game changer. And a lot of the big labels are a little bit afraid of independent artists now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just finding the right connections that people can share your music. And I think one of the challenges that I have had to overcome is being able to not worry about how many people are listening to the music, and just believing that it's going to find the right people. And that's how I've managed to build up, a small fan base. And over the years, it's just going to get better and better and better. I believe that. And having more opportunities and being able to, come on, like your podcast, even, it just lets people know even more about me as an artist and about, my music, and that in turn will then, find the right people. So I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges that I've had to overcome as an artist, is understanding the music industry and business as an independent artist.
Yeah, do you feel a little bit of a trepidation when you connect with your fans and audience? Like, do you feel like there might be somebody out there who just wants to do you harm, or do you feel
Oh
more
no,
confident?
No, I don't feel that at all. I feel like only the right people will find me. And anyone, the great thing I feel about social media, especially as we have all of these things that we can do on Instagram or Facebook, on YouTube, we can just block people. So I usually give people one chance. And if there's a bad comment, or if there is, something which is a little bit, off key, then they will get a warning. And then they can either decide to change their behavior, or if they don't, then that's it, they're blocked. And it's not even hard decision. It's literally a really easy decision, because I only want like-minded people in my community. I don't want anyone, like you said, that wants to cause any disturbance, I would say. And so literally I have no time for anyone that wants to do anything like that. That's it, they're gone. You had your chance, and that's it.
Exactly.
Exactly. How do you find yourself balancing your personal life and your music career? Like, how do you do that? So, like, you got to deal with your mental health. How do you do that?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't feel like there is a difference between my personal life and my music career. Sometimes they're so well integrated. I do feel like there's probably a couple of evenings a week that I spend with the hubby. So once in the week and once at the weekend, we have no one kind of taking time, so we have time for each other. But apart from that, I feel like I'm really happy to share my life with my fans. A lot of my life is the poodles, as you know, and I this year I will even be I did it a lot before, and then I kind of stopped doing it, but I love to actually share how I get ready for work, going out for walks in the woods, sharing what kind of food that I eat, even, like you asked me earlier, how do I keep my voice in shape? But it's not just about my voice. It's to be a singer is kind of like being an athlete. It's very holistic. You have to prepare yourself mentally, you have to prepare yourself physically, prepare yourself emotionally. So I do feel like the personal life and the work life balance is actually quite easy for me, because I have really, really good structures in place as a singer, and they then actually kind of filter through into my personal life, because the things that I do for myself as a singer to help me, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, actually then filter into, my relationship with my husband, my extended family, my siblings. And so, there's those personal things. I think it's just, they're normal, that, they are personal, but I don't feel like I have to, make a huge change to make a work-life balance, because I just feel like life is very malleable, and I tend to I try to, I say, she says, crossing her arms, because I don't always do it. I try to follow the Bruce Lee kind of mentality of, being like water, and that means going with the flow. And I've learned that I'm a lot happier emotionally and physically when I do go with the flow. And so, like this morning, when we're I couldn't get my computer to work, and then, my phone wasn't working. Instead of getting all flustered, I try to just use it as an opportunity for me to learn about myself and not get upset, because it's just, it's just one of those things. It's happened. We're all just, humans trying to be human. And, I'd rather suck on the flavor of, oh, I'm excited to get this interview, rather than, oh, I can't do this interview, stupid computers and technology. So, I think it's obviously, mindset is really, really important. I think what it comes down to.
I was afraid that you were going to ghost us or something, but I thought, yeah, she's. And you showed up, and there you are. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for the delay. And, it's actually one of my New Year's resolutions is to be even more on time. I mean, I have a terrible, terrible thing for being late. And it's one of my things that I'm really working on. So I'm so glad it was only a few minutes rather than like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So my apologies for keeping you waiting.
Oh, that's fine.
We got there in the end.
Yeah. Happy New Year too. Happy New Year to you,
Happy
Amy.
New Year.
Yeah.
I know Amy has a lot of New Year's resolutions, and I believe one of them is checking out on new sopranos and getting into new music and stuff like that. Yeah. So, Natasha, what is it that you enjoy most about being a musician?
I think being a musician, I kind of think one of the things that I think there is a there's two things that I really love being about a musician. One is it actually makes me a better person. Like I said, I have to follow really kind of strict routines, but it actually helps me be able to navigate through life, through this journey that we call life, because it helps me, physically, emotionally, mentally. So that is what I really appreciate about being a singer, is that it has helped me, I feel, become a better person. But the second thing that I really enjoy about being a musician is getting to perform and being in front of people that enjoy listening to me sing. Because being a singer, it's all very well singing in your bedroom or singing in your studio and then no one ever hearing it. But being able to connect with an audience, I feel, is the most important thing. And there are many times that I have read emails or comments from my musical family, and I'm literally in tears. Just recently, from when I released Hallelujah, as the day that it was released, I got an email from a man who had lost his wife, and his wife's favorite song was Hallelujah. And he said it brought him so much comfort to hear the song, but also knowing that his wife would have loved my version. And for someone to actually take the time to write that and let me know, I mean, it's, obviously I'm tearing up as I read it, but also it's such a joy, because I know that then I've done my job, because music is the connection which glues us all together, isn't it? And being able to move someone with your music is just, I think that's that is just the pleasure of it all. That's what I enjoy, I think, most is connecting with people.
That's what you want. I want people to write in and say that song that I particularly heard from you is, it really helps me. Like the gentleman who lost his wife and Hallelujah has brought him comfort. And there's several songs out there. Like when I spent a lot of Christmases with my parents when I was younger, and now that they're no longer here, the song "Empty Chairs at Empty Tables" by Les Miserables is like the song, like this at Christmas time, this empty chairs and empty tables where my parents should be sitting. So it's sort of like helps me. So a lot of songs do that.
Yes, I totally agree. I mean, I lost my father 5 years ago, just after I
Oh,
released Lost in Love. And, there's many over the last 5 years, I imagine where my dad was sitting, so I know that feeling. And
mhm,
being able to find a song which kind of can take you back to a time where you feel close again to them, even though it's through sometimes a sad song. It is very cathartic, and we really need that as humans, don't we? We really need to be able to release that
mhm.
emotion so then we can move forward.
I know you just recently came out with the new single, as we mentioned, but do you think you'll work on anything more in the future?
Yes, so basically this year I will be releasing the rest of the covers album. So I have released so far Bright Eyes, Into the West, and Hallelujah from the covers album. And this year you will be seeing more songs that are going to be released from that whole album. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm also writing a new original material album. So
Ooh.
yeah, it won't be out, might not be next year, might be the year after. But this year it will, well, you never know, it could be next year because we're only at the beginning of 2025. So this year I will be focusing on getting all of the songs ready to be produced. Yeah, so it's a very exciting time. So hopefully if once all of the cover album songs are released, then I'll be able to be in a position to release my next album. But I'm currently in the process of making the writing the songs at the moment. So it's early stage, but yeah, it's lots of exciting things with regard to music. And this year I will also be, hopefully at the end of this year, I will be doing a Lost in Love concert. So it will be all of the songs from my debut album, Lost in Love. There might be a couple of covers put in there as well, but that's what I'm planning to do at the end of the year, is actually do a few concerts with the album.
What message would you like to share with your fans and listeners?
What message? Just like to say thank you, really. Thank you so much for listening to my music, and thank you for supporting me as an independent artist. It's really an honor to be able to be on your playlist, and I hope you stay with me for the journey, because there's going to be more on the way that I know you're going to love.
As I was doing my research for my questions, it led to me from one of her interviews that she did with Mary Jess, and she said at the time writing new material was a bit hard because at the time of their interview, her loss of her father was recent. So, but I'm glad we get to hear more.
That's all.
Yeah, when I did that interview, it was I in hindsight, I don't think I was ready. I wasn't ready to even do an interview. let alone write new music. So it's interesting that you saw that. You could see that there's a different version of me that is being presented to you today, because I've healed so much. And Chris, as losing a parent, it's devastating, it's life-changing. Your whole perspective on life changes after you've lost a parent. And grief never goes, grief never leaves.
No.
I think we just grow even bigger than the grief. That is what I have learned, is the grief stays, but instead of the grief getting smaller, I think we just expand as humans. So the grief feels smaller, but it's not, the grief hasn't diminished, because there's always that loss and the heartache for that person. But I think we just expand, we get bigger, emotionally, mentally, we can handle more. And so it just feels like it's got smaller, but I think it's the opposite. I think the grief just stays the same, and we grow around the grief and expand and end up having more love in our heart, especially because we know what grief feels like. And so now that I'm ready to, write new music, it's a real blessing. It really is, because I know that I have progressed, as a person.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the new music, and also Amy is a big fan of Georgie Mottram as well.
Yeah.
She's got a
I see your
beautiful
name
voice.
she joins every classic concert, everything. She's always there, famous Amos, and
I'm always in the chat of Natasha by theories. And every time I would tell her I would be tuning in, she would always say, "See you in the chat, Amy." And
she's
I
there.
I was missed. It was a complete
Yeah,
role reversal.
Well, I will definitely try to do some more of the classical crossover concerts, and so I'll be able to see you in the chat too.
Thank you, Natasha, for being on the show. We're going to end this stream. Okay, Amy, do you want to close it out?
Yeah. Thank you, Natasha, so much for joining us today and sharing your incredible journey.
Thank you so much for having me, Amy and Chris. It's just been an absolute honor and a privilege to be here on your podcast. And thank you to everyone that's watched today. It's just amazing to be able to share these thoughts and moments with you.
It's been an absolute pleasure to learn more about your music and inspiration behind all your beautiful songs. We can't wait to see what you have in store for us next.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that, Natasha. It was really nice to meet you. And thank you, Amy, for undertaking the co-hosting duties, and you did so well.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Okay, bye, Natasha. Bye, Amy. Thank you so much. Okay, everyone, we're going to end the stream. Bye.
Bye, Chris. Bye, Amy. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye, Natasha. Bye, Amy.